I'm joined by my friend Richard. Hello, Richard.
And it's good to be back. We missed each other last week.
We did, but I'm always happy when I see you. I think, okay, it's fine. We're going to delve into the world of medical sciencey stuff, and you always make me feel better because you're such a nice person.
Well, the compliment is returned for the same reasons.
Thank you, sir. Now, let me just do Pure Media the magazine because I know that you're going to be on my show at some point, and we're liking these features. We're getting to actually meet some of the writers, the voice behind the pen, which is always very exciting. And we've got the December magazine is already in my mind. And with the November very much, right here. But at the same time, the December's there. And I'm looking forward to seeing where our writers are going to go for the December issue because it just makes sense to me to bring Christmas in if we can.
Indeed, let's see what they bring.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sitting here in my Pure Magazine T-shirt, which I like a lot. Now, you write the column on medical doctory stuff. You also speak on my show, which is this one. On my radio show about medicine. And just for people who are thinking, who's Richard? Well, he was a GP. He's been a surgeon in medicine for quite a few years, recently retired, and I think looking very good on it.
That's very kind of you, despite grandchildren having been staying the last 2 weeks.
Well, they create a pursuit of joy.
That's about right.
Right. What have you got for us tonight then?
Well, actually, it's something that you sent me, but also I'd seen on the Southeast News, as I live in Margate, on the TV the day before. And, we like to, as you say, tackle medical topics, hot topics. And some I find myself, some other people send me. And this one is one that you've sent me and I've seen myself. It sort of comes into both categories, really. And it highlighted what they were showing was the delight of a previously blind lady recovering her sight using up-to-date technology. So you couldn't resist the story. I couldn't resist it. And I want to now tell everybody else because it's a real, feel-good story. And, we've looked at medical stuff in the past, for example, caffeine, prostate screening, and we tend to look at the pros and cons. And, for most medical things, there are pros and there are also some cons that you need to consider. I have to say, I can't see any cons in tonight. I think it's just a win all round, this one. It's a real feel-good story. Perhaps a bit like, is singing good for you? Well, yes, singing is good for you. There are no cons. Well, there are no cons tonight either. I just really want to celebrate a medical advance where no healthy skepticism, if you like, is needed. So in the news, there's a 70-year-old lady called Sheila who was registered blind, and she'd been losing her sight for at least 30 years. Can you imagine it? And now, due to this technology, which we'll go into in a second, she's able to read again, do the post, read books, do crosswords, even do Sudoku, which apparently she likes. And she's described in her own words, what has happened to her is beautiful, wonderful, and gives me such pleasure. So here's the details. So for 30 years, she's had a thing called dry macular degeneration, known in the trade as dry AMD. And the macula is part of the retina. It's the central part of the retina responsible for our central vision. And in AMD, these macular cells, these retinal cells, become damaged and then die. So first of all, you get blurred vision, then distorted vision, you lose your color vision, fine detail. And it's very common in the over 50s. I Googled the amount of people. Well, it's a 250,000 in the UK, 5 million worldwide. Obviously, Sheila developed it pretty early because it's normally over 50s. She developed it when she was 40 or so. And by the time this technology came along, she could only see, if you can imagine, at the periphery of her vision. She had to keep turning her head to see anything because the central part's lost. So what's the new innovation? Well, it's an implant, a chip in the retina, which is implanted, and some special glasses that go with it. And the doctors at Moorfields in London, this implant, can you imagine, the wonderful surgical hands, a 2 millimeter square microchip. And this thing is not only 2 millimeters square, it's the thickness of a human hair.
What?
Inserted into and under the retina. Wow. I mean, that technology is amazing. Then you put on these special glasses with a built-in video camera, which sends an infrared beam of images to the implant The implant then sends them to a small processor, which enhances them, makes it clear, goes back to the optic nerve into the brain, and hey presto, you can see. So this is 30 years of degenerating vision, and they showed what she could see before, what she could, showed us what she was seeing, if you like, on the TV. And it's a slow business because you see one word at a time, which is amplified, and then you have to move on to the next word and then the next word. So it's not smooth reading, but it is reading. And suddenly you could just see the delight on her face when she put on the glasses for the first time, which of course the cameras snapped, and just wonderful. And it's taking her months to develop her reading again, as you can imagine. But I think it's, we can celebrate unequivocally the brilliance of scientists and surgeons. Sheila punches the air and she says, I am one happy bunny. Technology is moving so fast and it's amazing to be part of it. And I just thought, well, that's great. That's enough to pass on. But what about other people? This is Sheila. This is one lady. How many other people have benefited from this new discovery? What's the success rate? So I went into it a little bit more detail. And there's a study on this particular implant, 2 millimeters square, human hair thick, 32 patients, of whom 27 have been able to read again. So I guess that means that 5 haven't, for whatever reason. But 27 out of 32, that's pretty good. And they're restoring their central vision. And what that means is they could read the top 5 lines on a standard eye chart. So it's not perfect, but, wow, wouldn't you or I take that? Fantastic. And Sheila did even better. And a guy called Dr. Peter Bloomfield, who's the director of research at the Macular Society, he describes the results as fantastic news for those who otherwise have no treatment options. When your cells die, I mean, this is amazing. Cell death, you would imagine, is cell death. That's it. We have 2 eyes and that's it. But no, they've managed to do better than that. Fantastic. Essentially sending a signal, regardless of the macula, through the glasses, into the implant, into the optic nerve, which is just at the back of the retina, and into the brain. Absolutely fantastic. And he said, this guy, Dr. Peter Bloomfield, there have previously been many disappointments in the world of dry AMD treatment. Now there's hope. And at present, where are we? Well, the implant's awaiting approval for use in the UK, and then, of course, needs to be adopted and made available for use by the NHS. What about other conditions? Is it just for dry AMD? No. Oh, I'm the bearer of good news tonight, Andy. We hope that this technology could be used to help others with different eye conditions in the future. The only thing it does rely on is a functioning optic nerve. So if your optic nerve doesn't work, then it's not going to work. Anyway, how do we respond as Christians? Well, we have a big smile on our face. We are delighted, aren't we? And if you like, essentially, restoration of function is what Jesus did. When he healed the sick, when he cast out demons, when he made the lame walk, and of course the blind see, he's restoring function. We're not enhancing things beyond normality. This isn't the Special Olympics. We're not interested in that. That, I think, is personally unequivocally wrong. That's a different subject. But this, restoring people to normality, or at least some form of normality, making the blind see. Wow, using the gifts that God has given us. Hallelujah.
Where do we even begin? Let's just try and put this in some sort of perspective. 2 millimeters long. You're talking not even a grain of rice. That's probably a bit longer, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. 2 millimeters by 2 millimeters by 1 thickness of a human hair.
which is just crazy. I mean, it's phenomenal. I get the optical nerve part. You need to have something functioning for it to speak to. I don't understand it, but I can understand the basic mechanics of something can see something, sends it, enhances it, and it gets back onto your eye. But I mean, it's phenomenal, isn't it?
It really, really is. And one day, probably someone will develop something bypassing the optic nerve and going straight to the brain. But, until then, we can say, wow, well done, guys.
Well, that's the thing. This is pretty much whatever this technology is, it is clearly in its infancy. And this is how good it is now. We can help somebody to read very slowly, 1 word at a time. This is like day one. Where are we going to be in 100 days, so to speak, metaphorically, with the advancement of this? When they decide that 2 millimeters is far too thick, let's make it smaller and far more effective. And we just
everything gets smaller and more effective, doesn't it? But just the sense that, we don't need a functioning retina, we can bypass that. You think, wow, who would even think of that? Well done.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing. How did they come up with it? Because I'm sort of a bit dumbfounded and lost for words. Because 2 mil square. One is the thickness of a human hair. This lady for 30 years has had decreasing levels of eyesight. So she obviously has some vision, hence the optic nerve is still functioning. It's not functioning well, and it's degrading. And yet they've given her the I mean, it's just amazing.
The other thing is that I mean, we say God has given us gifts, but one of the things we learn about it, don't we, as Christians, that we have a creative God who's created everything, and we are made in His image, and that's why we can be creative. I'm just delighted that some people are not only creative but can actually achieve something, and it's that's why even someone in the field as myself, I'm just in awe of people not only producing this but thinking about it in the first place. But why should I be? We've got a creative God.
Penicillin, we take it for granted, and now penicillin, it's fine, give you a shot, you'll be good. And we've even moved on from there. But at some point somebody said, moldy bread, that'll fix everything. Now we're clearly much further on, but somebody somewhere said, hey, I can stick something like a microchip in your eye and you can see. And I can imagine everyone going, let's just have a sit down. Well, let's have a cup of tea. What nonsense you're on. But aren't we grateful for people who say, I don't care that sounds stupid. I think this could work.
Yeah. And the persistence, wow. That's astonishing. Well done.
I'm lost for words.
Tina would certainly say well done.
Very much so. And this lady, obviously, she can do a Sudoku, which is great. The 5 people that couldn't, it makes me wonder. Now, I tried contact lenses one time. I had a trial. My eyes, whatever the thing is, because I got an astigmatism, there aren't quite so many focuses they can create. So what happened was it didn't work so well for me. It's one of those things. But I got to try them, and here's what I discovered. One, putting the second contact lens is bordering on the impossible, because the first time you can trick your body, the second time you can't. But I discovered that over time, I could put the second contact lens in just as easily as the first. So I adapted, because you're sticking something in your eye. It's your body's like, no, you're stupid. And eventually you overcome it. So I'm presuming that even for her, without any improvement to the technology, she's going to improve her own abilities, like I did in a really simple way, over time.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I read that it took about 3 months to learn to read, and now she can do more than the top 5 lines on the eye chart. How far down she'll go? Well, yeah, obviously she'll push the boundaries until she can go as far as she can. But wow, what a lovely story.
I mean, that's still impressive. 5 lines on a thing. The fact you can see them, she can see the thing, and now she can actually read them is honestly mind blowing. It's so good.
Yeah, well, that and I'm very pleased it came my way. Then and you sent it my way, and the news said I don't watch the news more than probably twice a week. It happened to be on the day I was watching, so yeah, I'm very pleased about that.
I love it. Okay, we've done this one. Give me another medical advance that you never saw coming that you think, wow, that's amazing.
Well, I think the fact that beta blockers are used for heart failure when they were absolutely the worst thing you could possibly think of using when I was a medical student. Now they are there to reduce the work of the heart and take the strain off the heart, and they're an integral part of heart failure treatment. I would never have seen that coming. That's astonishing. And then you look at the size of hearing aids. Some people have hearing aids attached just to the stem of their glasses. And many people, you think about the huge hearing aids when I was a kid, and now you can barely see them. Again, fantastic. Cochlear implants, the same. Amazing. So much stuff is just extraordinary, I think, these days.
See, cochlear implants, I've watched somebody having that switched on for the first time, and you're going to cry. You know it's going to get you. And you watch the face as they switch it on, and the joy that they can actually hear, I'm guessing for the first time. I just love how we can make people's lives better. And what a world we'd have if we actually spent more time on improving lives rather than trying to do other stuff. But what an amazing story. Beta blockers. I live on beta blockers now. I'm probably on one for the rest of my life. I didn't know they were potentially so bad.
Well, that's what we thought. They were always very good for palpitations, but they were thought to be absolutely, contraindicated in heart failure. And now they're almost one of the first drugs we prescribe. So yes, funny how things change. Science moves on, and that's why when people say, "Oh, science has got all the answers," don't be silly. Science has got a lot to learn.
Science has got many questions, and there are many, many more.
Indeed,
which should have. Richard, thank you for that. I saw it and I thought I'm not going to delve too deep because otherwise I'm going to lose the joy of watching you talk about it. So I deliberately didn't read it on purpose, just so that you could. And I mean that woman's been transformed. How many more we don't know. It's got to be approved. Of course it has, but Let's hope for people.
Standard treatment, one day, 5 years, 10 days, it'll be absolutely standard for AMD and other conditions.
Your GP will do it. You'll pop in there, just slot it in. Quick injection, off we go.
I'm sure most of us quite got the hands for that.
Yeah. Well, yes, you do need steady hands. That's something different. But who knows? Right. Okay, Richard, thank you. If you've got any questions for Richard on this, any thoughts on the blind or nearly blind being able to see, you can send those back. Your thoughts on dry AMD or anything else you've seen in the news. There's a hot topic. You can send it and Richard will answer it the best that we can. Richard Scott, thank you, sir.
My pleasure.